Welcome to week 2 of the Commissioner's Corner. I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive into this Monday night fiasco, and it all starts with this play right here. If Saquon makes this catch, the Eagles get the first down, and the game is over. No more points to be had. But instead, he drops the ball. Now we're going to take another look at it right here, right in the hands. Even Tim the Hammer Hanaway in his wide receiver days could have brought this one home and ended the game. But instead, they kick a field goal. The Falcons get the ball back. Kirko Chains drives them all the way down the field, and with about 30 seconds left, throws the game-winning touchdown to Drake London, giving me the win over my brother. Now on Thursday night, this was looking very bleak. Josh Allen and Tyreek Hill combined for under 15 points, and James Cook scored 28, almost doubling them by himself. But then on Sunday, Alvin Kamara, looking straight out of 2018, I don't know the year, I'll have to ask Brittany, scoring 4 touchdowns and 43 fantasy points. And even with all that, it still came down to a Monday night last-second touchdown for me to get this win. That's because Brian's team had some big performances. We already talked about Cook. Devontae Adams and Malik Neighbors combined for 30 targets and over 40 fantasy points, but Christian Kirk made up for it and held the team down with 1 catch for -1 yard. Especially hurts when he had Rashid Shaheed on the bench with almost 20, but I had DK Metcalf on my bench with 24, so we're going to call that one even. I get out of here with 4-0 start to the season, and Brian escapes with 1 point due to the top 6 rule change, which I'm sure he's thrilled about. Now, the next impact that Saquon drop had was on Ryan's week. As I said, they kicked a field goal. Ryan had Jake Elliott, and those 2.9 points from his field goal jumped him over Zach and Tim to land him in the top 6 to get 1 point on the week. He also had big weeks out of the Cardinal duo, Kyler Murray and James Conner, and Justin Jefferson's looking good, catching passes from potential MVP frontrunner Sam Darnold. Not sure about that one. As for Skip's team, Poop Emoji Collector himself had another good week. Breece Hall looking solid. Value pick and J.K. Dobbins looking good. Nico Collins looking like a stud. However, he does now have a Cooper Kupp injury that he has to deal with. Week 1 looked like prime Cooper Kupp, and now week 2 we're just looking back at injured Cooper Kupp, so we'll see how he manages that. Now, I, like Tim, thought that he jumped into the top 6 spot because he had Koo, who kicked the extra point after the Drake London touchdown, which put him .02 over Zach. I thought that jumped him into the top 6. However, I didn't realize Ryan had jumped both of them on the field goal before. So this .02 difference between Tim and Zach ended up not mattering at all, and Tim finds himself at 0-4. Brittany responds to the slow start out of the gates comments and scores the high score of the week, even having 0 points out of her tight end. Now, how did she do this with no points from a tight end? It's because only one other player on her team didn't hit double digits. Everyone else 13 points or above, and she gets the high score of the week and $5 from a full team effort. As for Tim, we're looking at about 5 points spread between week 1 and 2 that would have landed him in that top 6, and he would have been 2-2. Instead, he gets the 7th highest score on the week 2 weeks in a row and finds himself at 0-4. That's a tough one. Speaking of someone who's been bottom 6 in points scored both weeks, let's move on to Big Lou versus Paul. The difference being Big Lou has that self-proclaimed good fantasy defense and gets another win here going up against Paul. Now, it looked very bleak for Paul towards the later parts of Sunday, but his kicker kept him afloat here, and he actually only needed 9 points on Sunday Night Football from Tank Dell to get the win. However, Tank threw up a dud and didn't even score 2 points, and Paul finds himself at 0-4. Lou finds himself at 2-2 somehow, mostly on the back of Marvin Harrison having his first pop-off game of his career. One thing I wanted to take a closer look at here, though, was this tight end battle. We have the first tight end taken in the draft, Sam Laporta in the 3rd round, scoring 2.3 points, tight end 17 on the year. And then we have Travis Kelce taken 2 picks later, scoring 1.1 points, tight end 28 on the season. These early tight end picks not panning out this far into the season. Next up, we have the stomp of the week, as Chase scores the second highest score for the second week in a row, and the Priors find themselves with the low score of the week. Chase's team, good week all around. Chris Godwin, the number 1 wide receiver on the year through 2 weeks. His kicker scoring 22 points. However, he does have a Pacheco injury. He picked up a Chiefs running back. I'm not really sure who the backup is in that scenario, but we'll see if it pans out like his Jordan Mason pickup. He also has a Deebo Samuel injury that he'll have to deal with for a few weeks. But speaking of injuries, the Priors team is just falling apart. Tua goes down this week. Joe Mixon gets banged up. Jaden Reed looking not nearly as good after the Jordan Love injury. He had Puka get injured last week. Bench looking a little bleak. The only silver lining here may be that because of the Deebo injury, Ayuk and Kittle get a bit more volume their way that will hold the Priors afloat for a few weeks here. And now last up, we have Jeff versus Zach. Jeff going back to his I hate my team mantra, and after taking a look at this team, might be rightfully so. Other than Jahmyr Gibbs and Saquon Barkley, who's looked pretty good these 2 weeks, the team has a lot of question marks and not a lot of points. Zach gets the benefit of this matchup to escape with a bottom 6 victory. And other than that Saquon drop, the thing that kept Zach out of the top 6 was most likely starting the wrong 2/3 of his 3 Ohio State wide receiver crew. We'll see if he rolls out the right 2 Buckeyes next week. Now, I want to take a quick look at the standings. I know it's early and this is obviously going to change a ton, but take a look down here at Lou's team. In our old rules, he would be 2-0 in 4th place in the league. Instead, with the median point rule change, he is 2-2 in 8th place. That seems very impactful this early on in the season. We'll see if it averages out, and we'll see if his mental fortitude can last if this continues. That's all I got. I'll catch y'all next week on the Commissioner's Corner.